if something's an element, then we can look up its relative atomic mass on the periodic table. But for compounds which are made from more than one element, you need to look up the atomic mass of each individual element, add them together to work out what we call the relative formula mass. So we're going to go through how to calculate the relative formula mass for CuSO4. So the first thing I need to do is find the AR, that's relative atomic mass, because it's a bit shorter to write, of each type of atom. So I look these up on the periodic table, and I use exactly the number that it says there. And remember, if we're looking for relative atomic mass, that's going to be the larger of the two numbers. So copper, if we look it up on the periodic table, has a relative atomic mass of 63.5. S is sulfur, and if you look up its relative atomic mass on the periodic table, then that is going to be 32. And oxygen, O, if you look up its relative atomic mass on the periodic table, that is going to be 16. Okay, the next thing we need to do is multiply each of these masses by the number of atoms that is present in my compound. And then once I do that, I add them all together, and that will give me my final answer. Now, often it's easier to write this out as one single calculation, and something we need to remember is if there isn't a number present next to something, it means there's just one of those atoms present within the molecule. So if I want to work out the formula mass of copper sulfate, which is CuSO4, I've got one atom of copper because there's no numbers next to it. So I'm going to do 1 multiplied by 63.5. I'm going to add that to 1 lot of sulfur, so 1 multiplied by 32. Okay, and I also have 4 lots of oxygen. Okay, so I'm going to add that to 4 multiplied by 16. Okay, so that means I'm going to add together, if I expand out all my brackets, 63.5 plus 32 plus 4 times 16, which is 64. And if I add those all together, I end up with 159.5. And that is the relative formula mass of copper sulfate.